The great silence, the most disturbing solution to why we are alone in the universe. Hello, curious mind. Have you ever looked at the night sky and felt a mix of awe and loneliness? The question of whether we are alone is one of the biggest we can ask ourselves. Today, we're going on a journey together, a descent through 5 levels of knowledge on this topic. I promise you, by the end, the way you see the cosmos and our place in it will never be the same. Let's start with level 1, the surface, what we all know. And the most basic thing is this: the universe is ridiculously vast. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, has hundreds of billions of stars. And there are hundreds of billions of galaxies. It's like standing on a beach and trying to count the grains of sand. The sheer statistics seem to scream that there has to be someone else out there. Another point we all know is how we imagine those someone else. Think about movies, video games, from friendly beings who want to go home, to galactic empires with ships that block out the sun. The idea of extraterrestrial life isn't abstract to us. It already lives in our imagination, in our stories. It's part of our culture. But this fascination is not new. Let's look at its origin story. Ever since we were humans, we've looked up. Ancient civilizations saw their gods in the constellations. Much later, the first philosophers and astronomers dared to whisper the idea of other worlds. This question wasn't born with rockets and telescopes. It was born the first night a human being felt curious about those points of light. And that brings us to the last point of this level. If we're so sure there might be someone, logically we've tried to listen. Projects like SETI point giant radio telescopes into space, as if we're putting a cosmic ear out to catch a call, a whisper, anything. But then the obvious question arises: if the party is so big, why is the music so low? So there you have it, a vast universe full of possibilities, a cultural imagination that has already populated the stars for us, and a real attempt to listen. This is what almost everyone knows. It's the tip of the iceberg. It's the cover of the book. But if this is what we see on the surface, what secret engines move it underneath? It's time to dive in. Get ready for level 2. Here's the first big revelation. To bring order to that idea of a lot of planets, scientists created something called the Drake equation. Don't be scared by the name. Imagine it's a recipe for finding civilizations. It asks for ingredients. First, take a galaxy. Add stars of the right type. Mix with planets. Filter those at the correct distance from their sun. It's our attempt to calculate the probabilities, to turn maybe into a number. One of the most important ingredients in that recipe is governed by an invisible rule called the habitable zone. Think of it as the Goldilocks zone around a star. You can't be too close because you'd burn up like on Mercury, nor too far because you'd freeze like on Pluto. You have to be at that perfect, just right spot where water can be liquid. Most planets simply don't meet this rule. Now let's talk about a small factory error in our brain that complicates everything. It's called the anthropic principle. It's simple. The fact that we exist on a planet perfect for life, in a universe that seems designed for it, makes us think it's common. It's like winning a 1 in a billion lottery and thinking, hey, winning the lottery is super easy. Obviously it's not. We see a universe perfect for us because if it weren't, we wouldn't be here to observe it. This thought has deep historical roots. Centuries ago, a thinker named Giordano Bruno was burned at the stake. His crime? Suggesting that stars were suns like ours, and that they could have their own worlds with their own inhabitants. That idea was so radical, so dangerous, that it cost lives. This story shows us that the search for extraterrestrial life is not just scientific, it's also a battle against our own dogmas. And here's something key. All this search, all this science actually solves a very deep human need. The need not to feel alone. The universe is immense, dark, and as far as we know, silent. Searching for life out there is a way of shouting into the darkness and hoping someone shouts back. It's a search for companionship on a cosmic scale. The last mechanism at this level completely changes the rules of the game. It's the concept of great filters. Imagine that life, from the first microbe to a galactic civilization, has to pass through an almost impossible obstacle course. Perhaps starting life is one filter. Perhaps evolving from a simple cell to a complex one is another. Or perhaps the most dangerous filter is developing technology without self-destructing. Suddenly the question isn't where are they, but at what obstacle did everyone else fall? And with that we close level 2. Now we don't just see a sky full of stars, we see a playing field with rules. We understand the recipe, the perfect zone, the error in our perspective, and the deadly obstacle course. We are no longer just spectators, we're starting to understand the game, and that gives us power. But if you thought we had everything clear, get ready because this is where the story turns into true chaos. Welcome to level 3. This level begins with the central controversy, the mother of all questions, the Fermi Paradox. One day, physicist Enrico Fermi, in the middle of lunch, simply asked, "Where is everybody?" That's the debate. On one hand, the numbers we saw earlier tell us the universe should be teeming with life. On the other, our eyes and ears tell us it's completely empty. It's a contradiction that torments us. Now, let me tell you a little secret. Many people believe the paradox is solved because UFOs visit us. The reason we love to believe this is psychological. Our brain is designed to find patterns and agency, to see faces in clouds. It's much more exciting to think that a strange light in the sky is an alien craft than to accept it's a satellite or a lens flare. Believing in visits gives us an easy answer to a terrifyingly difficult question. But there's a possible solution to the paradox that is much more unsettling. It's an idea called the dark forest hypothesis. Imagine you're in a forest at night. It's full of other hunters, but everything is silent. Why? Because no one wants to reveal their position. The first one to shout, "I'm here," becomes the first target. Perhaps the universe is the same. Advanced civilizations might exist, but they are terrified, listening in silence, waiting. And here we are, about to light a flare. And that leads us to an ethical problem almost no one discusses. Some scientists don't just want to listen, they want to shout. They want to send powerful messages into space saying, "Hello, we're here." But who has given us permission to speak on behalf of all humanity? Do we have the right to reveal the position of our planet without knowing who or what might be listening? Is this really right? Even the way we debate this has changed over time. 70 years ago, we were looking for little green men in flying saucers. Today, more serious scientists look for biosignatures, which are basically the chemical traces left by life, like methane in the atmosphere of a distant planet. We've gone from looking for engineers to looking for bacteria. Our own debate has become more humble and more desperate. Ultimately, all this discussion brings us back to ourselves. The silence of the universe forces us to ask whether the great filter, that insurmountable obstacle, is behind us or ahead. Have we already passed the difficult part, or is the worst yet to come? The possibility of nuclear war or climate collapse makes this not a philosophical question, but an existential warning. And that's level 3, a disaster. A paradox without a solution, blood-chilling theories, ethical dilemmas, and a mirror showing us our own anxieties as a species. The reality of this topic is neither clean nor simple. It's a chaos of terrifying questions. All right, you've survived the chaos. Now it's time to see the details that separate the curious from the true connoisseurs. It's time to descend to level 4. Let's start with something you won't find in a quick search. It's called the rare earth hypothesis. It argues that to have complex life like ours, it's not enough to be in the Goldilocks zone. You need an incredibly long list of requirements. A large moon to stabilize your axis, a gas giant like Jupiter to act as a cosmic bodyguard and deflect asteroids, tectonic plates to regulate the climate. Suddenly, Earth isn't one planet out of a billion. It's a cosmic lottery prize almost impossible to win. Now, a slightly more technical concept, but with an analogy that makes it easy, the Kardashev scale. It's a way to measure how advanced a civilization is based on how much energy it consumes. A Type 1 civilization can use all the energy of its planet, like having control over the entire global power grid. A Type 2 can use all the energy of its star, and a Type 3, that of its entire galaxy. We, by the way, don't even reach Type 1. We are a 0.7 civilization. And this is where we must remember a secret hero of this story, Frank Drake. Not just the guy who created the equation we mentioned earlier. Imagine him in the 60s, a young astronomer with a revolutionary idea to apply the scientific method to a question that seemed like science fiction. It was he who organized the first meeting to search for signals. He gave us the tools to start searching seriously, instead of just dreaming. Let's talk about a rebel theory, one that goes against the current. The estivation hypothesis. It says that advanced civilizations aren't dead, they're sleeping. Why? Because the universe is young and hot, and large-scale computation is more efficient in cold environments. So they've put themselves into a state of cosmic-scale hibernation, waiting for the universe to cool down in billions of years. The silence isn't because they're dead, it's because we're awake at the wrong time. Now, a scientific idea that clashes head-on with our common sense. We always assume that intelligence is the ultimate goal of evolution, but what if it's not? Intelligence gives us technology, and technology gives us the capacity to self-destruct on a massive scale. Perhaps on a cosmic level, intelligence is a fatal evolutionary trait. Perhaps the species that survive eons are the resilient and dumb ones like cockroaches or jellyfish, not those that invent the atomic bomb. And here comes the aha moment. Remember when we talked about the great filters, those deadly obstacles? And do you remember the Kardashev scale that measures a civilization's power? Connect those two ideas. Perhaps the most common and dangerous great filter is precisely the leap from a Type 0 civilization, like ours, to a Type 1. Learning to manage the energy of an entire planet without causing an ecological collapse or a resource war could be the final test that almost no one passes. The silence of the universe could be the sound of thousands of civilizations failing that exam. And that's level 4. Seeing these details isn't about showing off knowledge. It's about understanding that this question is infinitely richer, more nuanced, and deeper than it appears on the surface. It's seeing the complete tapestry, not just a couple of threads. We have reached the limits of what is known. Do you dare to look beyond to the final frontier, to level 5? Here we enter pure speculation. What if the most advanced life is no longer biological? Imagine a civilization that has abandoned its fragile flesh and blood bodies. They could have become pure digital consciousness, living inside planet-sized computers. Or perhaps they are beings of pure energy? We are looking for water and carbon, but we might be looking for horse-drawn carriages in an era of teleportation. This leads us to the deepest question that neither science nor philosophy can yet answer. What is consciousness? Is it a chemical accident that only occurred in our primate brains? Or is it a fundamental property of the universe, like gravity or electromagnetism, waiting to manifest? The answer to that question would completely change what we are looking for. And if you want an idea that gives you true vertigo, consider the simulation hypothesis. What if the reason the universe seems so perfectly tuned for us to exist, yet at the same time so conveniently empty, is because all of this is a computer simulation, and its purpose was to create us? The silence wouldn't be a paradox. It would be resource optimization to avoid overloading the system. Understanding all of this is crucial for the future of humanity. If we discover we are alone, it means that this small spark of consciousness on this planet is the most precious thing in the universe, and we have a sacred responsibility to protect and expand it. If we discover that the great filter is ahead of us, it gives us a roadmap of the dangers we must overcome to survive as a species. And here's the last idea, the most provocative of all. Perhaps we are not here to find ancient aliens. Perhaps we are here to become them. Perhaps the purpose of life on Earth is to be the seed that will one day blossom and fill the galaxy with life. Perhaps the great silence of the universe is not an absence. Perhaps it is an invitation. Our 5-level journey has ended. We have descended from the familiarity of the night sky to the deepest abysses of speculation. Now, with this new perspective, it's time to contemplate the full picture. At the beginning of this journey, we talked about the simple and overwhelming idea of billions of stars, a universe that seemed like a crowded neighborhood. And now we've ended with the dizzying idea that we might be the seeds destined to populate that empty neighborhood. We went from wondering if we were the only guests at a cosmic party to considering if we are responsible for organizing it. Your view of silence has changed from a void to a blank canvas. What idea from this entire journey has impacted you the most? The dark forest, sleeping civilizations, or the idea that we are the future ancestors of the galaxy? I want to sincerely thank you for joining me on this adventure. Your curiosity is what makes these explorations worthwhile. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you like deep dives that challenge your mind, subscribe so you don't miss the next one.